How's it going, everybody? It is me, Shane, and I'm here to give you another Game of Thrones House of the Dragon episode review. Today's episode is the fourth episode, known as King of the Narrow Sea. So before I begin or go any further, please be the king or queen, whichever you choose to be, of hitting that like button. I also need you guys to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos just like this. We're so close to 200, and after 200, y'all know we're going to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. But anyway, let's just, this episode, I don't even know what word I can use to describe this episode. Like, I know other people feel as though Matt Smith, Daemon, is solely carrying the series on his back. No, he's people's favorites because, I mean, it's Matt Smith. Come on now. But I think it is a combination of him and Rhaenyra, Ray. They just doing the damn thing in this show. Like, the first thing I talked about, I wrote in my notes up here, was the difference when it comes to sex, or as Daemon calls it, pardon my language, fucking. There's 3 different examples in this, and it's just crazy. Yeah, we're gonna start with the boning, because it is within that shows kind of the freedom or lack thereof that a lot of these characters have. So with Queen Alicent and the King, you know, when he goes to her chambers, which is kind of funny because you would think the King and the Queen will sleep together, right? When he calls, you know, he calls for her to his chambers, and it's late at night. Well, she has to do the thing, and the whole time she is dead-eyed, just straight up looking at the ceiling, doesn't even care. Now he is actually into it. Like, he holds her, you know, he holds her hand and touches her face. He's into it. You also get to see that this dude, that Iron Throne, is literally killing this guy. Like, he has so many bruises and wounds that aren't healing. I think he's missing 2 fingers. If I saw that correctly, he's missing 2 fingers because of the Iron Throne. It is just, he's wasting away. Now, it's that first part, right? And then you have Daemon, who he flies by his seat. He literally punches and bursts against whatever is trying to conform onto him, and just, I mean, I was pretty dang sure he was close to doing the deed with Rhaenyra. Yes, that's right, doing it with his niece, but he edges her. He gets her to that edge and just runs off, which part of me really wants to believe that Daemon knew that something like this would come out, or he knew that they would be followed, or something of that nature. I don't know. It's he seemed all too, I don't know. The scene that he has with Masera, where it finally revealed she is definitely the traitor. She's been betraying this dude for a while. It's very obvious, but it's, you know, he's in a drunken stupor, barely able to just pay attention to what's going on. And I wonder if he's known the whole time. And then we have Ray with Sir Cole. After she gets edged by her uncle, she goes all the way back to the castle. Even Cole's like, wait, how did she get through? Are you hurt? Like, are you okay? And obviously she's upset because of what happened with her uncle just kind of running off on her, getting her to that, you know, showing her this is what pleasure can be. You marry whoever you want, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't stop you from doing the other stuff you want to do, which is sadly true even in the modern era, when people marry folks just to marry them and then still do whatever they want. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. But anyway, but she gets with Cole, and it's such a starking contrast from her to Alicent, where, you know, she's playful, she's giggling, she's enjoying the process. He takes her. She definitely takes him. And that's just, we're shown the sadness within this whole royalty gig, not being able to do what you want with whomever you want, and more or less you are subservient to how things look, which pretty timely given the stuff that's going on, talking about with royal families and stuff. Now, I don't know which path should I go on. Should I go? Let's start with the beginning. So in the very beginning of this episode, she's on a courtship tour, which is supposed to last, I guess, 3 months. And there's one old guy who's super old, and she even makes a joke which makes everyone laugh. He's like, nah, I'm not. She's not getting with that guy. Then a young man, she's like, this is a child. He's from the Blackwoods. I believe his dad is Sir Lucas Blackwood. So yeah, but he gets made fun of by some a-hole on the side. Could not peep his house. I know his colors are yellow. Could have been a Lannister. I thought they were red though. But anyway, that whole thing breaks down as the boy gets ready to fight him. She's like, "No, we're leaving." And Kid ends up stabbing the shit out of this guy. I'm pretty sure he killed him. And even Cole's like, "Just don't look. Let's just keep going." She's ready to get out of there, and it just so happens at the same time that she's leaving, that is when Daemon shows up. Oh boy. And Daemon's red dragon flying over the boat and all that good stuff. Everyone is in attendance as he's coming to meet the king. King gets the crown. He gets the sword. All right, let's do this. The guards come in. People are filing in. And of course, he sees his daughter. And of course, she's trying not to meet his gate because he is pissed off about her being here at this moment. She's not supposed to be here. But Daemon has a crown. Apparently, he has been crowned by the people of the Narrow Seas, king of the Narrow Seas. I mean, he's like, hey, this crown is yours. You are the true king. Where's Corlys? He is not coming. Corlys is still sore about that whole wedding thing. Oh boy. Just a mistake made literally 2 episodes ago that did not have to be. Now, let's go on talking about this, Rhaenyra's night on the town. I have no clue how Daemon knew that there was a hidden chamber in Rhaenyra's room, left her bag there with clothes to change into, told her how to get out of there, met up with her and took her out in the town. She's seeing a stage play. She's drinking all sorts of drink, getting pretty drunk, and seeing the people in the stage play say, yeah, she's loved by all the people, but who would they rather have, her as the heir or Aegon II? Because he has 2 things that she just not, and one of them is a penis. And it's so weird that they all recognize how patriarchal, how misogynist your class system, your ruling system is, yet no one gives a damn to even change it. It's like, no, we all love her, but no, she shouldn't be that because she ain't got no dick, y'all. What sense does that make? That makes literal no sense. And I guess medieval people didn't make sense back then either, right? Stuff just makes no sense. But while he's showing her all the cool, they even play a little game where she takes, I guess, a food or something, and he pretends he doesn't know, like, hey, urchin, we pay for our pleasures down here. And he gives chase to her. And what's also funny about all of this is he knew she would enjoy that, and she ends up running into one of the guards. Now, people have been mistaking her for a boy. One of the guards like, hey, what are you running for? And looks like, princess. And she's like, and it looked like he was like, I'm gonna mess up this dude that you running from. Wait, is that you running from the? And she said, no, don't. It's cool. I like how some of these people are loyal to the point where they're like, you know what? She says it's cool. I'm gonna let it go. Like, don't let it happen again, boy. And then we get to the whole pleasure house thing where he makes her take off her hat and let her hair down, and we see we see not only man on woman, we see woman on woman, we see man on man, we see nondescript on nondescript on man on all that other stuff. It's a free for all in this place. It's a pleasure house, y'all. And this is where he explains to her, about all of this. And this is the second conversation they had, because the first conversation they had after she was more or less shunned by her father was him saying like, yo, being sold off for speaking in, apparently the language they speak is called High Valyrian, by the way. I love closed caption. But him saying, yo, being sold off for a castle, it's a lot more than what other people have been sold for. Hint, hint to the wink, wink. It's so weird, because you do feel sorry for her, because she just wants to be in solitude. Even though Daemon's like, hey, that's kind of, don't do all that. But she wants to be in solitude. But you're royalty. You have to do all this other stuff. But meanwhile, there are lower people who are like, hell, sign me up, marry me to some rich person, and I get to live and do nothing but pop out babies. It's such a weird duality, right? And there comes a point in that first conversation where she says, look, I saw what happened with my mom. She was made to push out children until it literally killed her. I ain't dying like that. And this is the ramification of her death, which is funny because King Viserys, he swears up and down that he was in love with his wife, and swears up and down that it hurt him when she died. And maybe it did. But at the same time, I see him as being unfocused. He's so unfocused that it leads him to make decisions that he normally wouldn't make. He's very easily swayed. And he even admits to his brother. Hey, Mom, you were Mom's favorite. You're a warrior. You had her personality. I just happened to be born first. But you can tell that there's some mismatch between him and Alicent, because when Alicent, she tries to get a moment for her, for Rhaenyra and her father to talk before all of this crap happened. Like, oh, perhaps, Prince wants to see the tapestries, and he laughs on her face. He's like, my brother don't care about none of that. Which we then get a nice heart-to-heart between Alicent. We get two conversations. This is wonderful. Two conversations between, Rhaenyra has a conversation with Alicent twice, and has a conversation with her uncle twice. And this first conversation with Alicent, they admit they both miss each other, right? She even inadvertently insults Alicent, like, who wants to be in a prison and popping out babies all the time? And she's like, I'm sorry about that. I didn't. Because that's basically what you are. You're doing nothing but popping out babies all the time. That's what you get for bending to your father's will and comforting the king, and then he picks you, which those ramifications are always being felt. Always being felt. Now, let's go on to where am I at here? I already did the King of Nerys's part. Let's go about the reporting, where I guess Masera or her network or whoever, her network's called White Worm. And I think I said it back in my episode 2 review. It'd be kind of funny if she's actually the informant, because who else would have told, Otto what was happening in that pleasure house except for someone that was in that room. And Daemon's men cared about him. It's always the women in this type of situation. Literally, not even trying to be sexist. It's always the women in these situations in this show. Get you to open up and you speak too much. As a matter of fact, I think that happened that did happen in Game of Thrones. I forget what season. The guy who only went to the pleasure houses to be sung to, right? Boy, you got killed super easily, because that's like, we know where you're coming for. Come on, man. But you get Otto speaking to the king. King's like, I like how he has moments of kingliness when it comes to his family. Because he was like, whatever you got to say, you need to just spit it out. Because he's listening to what he's saying. He's like, well, her and her uncle were coupling, and she was out in town. I even have reports. And he's like, bring me the person who accused her of this, because I'm going to snatch his eyes out. And he's like, nah, man, as hand to the king, I have sources, and this one's very reputable, has not failed me once. And I love that finally King V just straight up is like, you want blood on the throne so bad that you are trying to ruin my own. You have people spying on my daughter, going out here, following her, and just waiting for a misstep. And just flat out says, leave. Now, of course, Alicent overheard all that. And now we get Alicent and Rhaenyra conversation number 2, where Rhaenyra half truths is what I wrote here. It's half truths because no, she didn't bone Daemon, but she also isn't pure or isn't a maiden anymore because she willingly gave it to Sir Christian Cole. Cole, man, Night Cole, my dude. Very Jon Snow looking, if I say so myself. But yes, this dude, he cool. But she flat out, she's initially pissed because she's saying, so your dad said this, and you're approaching me now all because of rumor. Who's the person that said it? What's going on with this? Yeah, I went out and I drank at a tavern, at many taverns and all this. And now she has to come up with something to say because you can't be like, oh, well, he kind of rubbed me here and kissed me. We kissed a bunch of times. Nah, because that's still bad. But she says, no, I wanted to leave. He wanted to continue, and he left me for a whore, right? Half truths. She didn't ask her if she did not have sex that night. She asked her if she had sex with Daemon, which she did not. And it's such a starking contrast to their earlier conversation, because their earlier conversation was more of, friendly, familiar. But I like that Rhaenyra, Ray does not forget the whole, class system thing, because she calls her my, your grace, my grace, this grace. Does not forget any of that. And I feel like that thing is so in constant in her mind. She's always so cognizant of it, and she will never slip up. But she always knows it's always about this crown shit. And of course we get Alicent coming to bat for her, telling King V, I believe her. And this is after King V had a conversation with Daemon. They grabbed him, or he just, hung over, staggering in, threw him in the Iron Throne room. It's like, oh, he about to murder you. And this dude does not deny it. And we all know he didn't do it. But at the same time, we see him edge her on. But we also see when she was going on the attack, he was kind of backing out of it and just like, the hell am I doing? Nah, boop, boop. But we do, I'm sorry, I flip-flop between this, but also that Alicent conversation was getting very nasty, because Alicent even revealed that she had a hand in helping King Viserys try to pick suitors for Rhaenyra. She's like, well, you Targaryens do have strange ways, and Daemon is without limits, and just like, it feels as though she was ready to push her emotionally to see what truths would come out from her lashing out. But Rhaenyra kept her composure pretty well. Now, back to King V and Daemon. Just dude's like, yo, you said when I gave you, the crown, right, that I could get whatever I want. Have her and I wed. We'll be stronger than ever. He's like, that's what you want this whole time. You've been wanting the throne. Pardon me. And that's all you want. And he's like, you know what, brother? Just go back to the Vale. I don't ever want to see you again. You've just been a thorn in my side this whole time. And it's crazy because when the king starts off, he's like, so my daughter. And he's like, you gotta tell me what I'm being accused of before I can even deny what's going on. Just kicks him and has the blade at his throat, but would not kill his own brother. Even though his brother may have had sex with his daughter, did not murder him. At the same time, that would have shown that the houses were divided and were crumbling. So probably a good idea that he didn't do that. Didn't put himself into more trouble. And then that brings us to Rhaenyra's second conversation. Well, technically, this is her first conversation with her father in this episode, but this is like the second actual heart-to-heart. And the second heart-to-heart where she is led in there. And I love the fact that Cole just looks at her whole time like, yeah, man, I know what we did. And now I got to be cool. And you got to be cool. And they both being cool. They're doing a good job being cool. But and the whole King's whole thing is, no one's going to take her now. And when they have this conversation, and she's like, it's not true though. And I love the fact that Damien has to point out to him, yo, who gives a flying fuck if it's true or not? You're the king. You're the dragon. You can literally just do whatever you want. Who cares? He has a great point. Who honestly cares? And even Damon goes, when we were younger, we were all about the strict streets and we were banging it out, man. We were banging it out, bro. Which again, I like the fact that somewhere within Damien, even though he has this complicated relationship with his brother, he feels scorned and all this other stuff, part of him is actually sticking up for his niece, even though he recognizes, like, yeah, the people, these are your people. The people don't want you there. But he even goes, this is what we did. And literally, Rhaenyra later goes, if I were a boy, I could have dozens of bastard kids and it wouldn't make a difference. And King's like, yeah, you're right. But you're not a boy. It's just, this stuff is hammered home so hard. Kind of, it almost makes me go, I can see why Daenerys ended up was being driven crazy, because if she turns out to be a direct line from Rhaenyra, I can see how hundreds of years of people just shitting on the fact that you're a woman finally coming out, especially with how she began in Game of Thrones. So this conversation between father and daughter, king and princess, he's like, yo, you will marry, Corlys's son, Rhaenyra. And she's like, she says, so I'm here to cure your political headache. And she knew this was happening when they were having the meeting, and it's like, yo, man, we got to marry into his family too, so we could try to keep this stuff together. And now this is coming to fruition, and she's like, he says, you are literally my political headache, which she has been nothing but a political headache. She doesn't want to conform to any of this. She had rather it had been her uncle that was given the seat initially, but she's doing what her father, the king, wants of her. She had rather she did have a brother before her mother got killed, so she wouldn't have to do any of this. But I do appreciate that they come to this heart to heart after, she sees the dagger of Aegon the First, who, tells her who was passed on from before that, but it's lost in history. And on it, it has the prophecy of the Song of Ice and Fire. And he said, I bestowed this to you, so you need to do your duty. It doesn't matter. And he even says, it doesn't matter whether you did it or not. It is the perception, which still rings true in real life and in today. A lot of times it doesn't really matter if you did do a thing or not. Just the perception that you put yourself in that position, which is even something Allison said, don't put yourself in these positions, right? Which is funny coming from her. And we get Rhaenyra going, you know what? Yeah, no. Her father even said, you're going to marry him without fussing. And she's like, yeah, you're right. And I actually highlighted it in my phone notes. You're right. I will. Oh, here we go. Her corpse is at an end. And she's like, you know what? Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and do what you want. But there's a vulture on the throne. He's like, what you talking about? He's like, Otto, he obviously wants Aegon on the throne. And she's like, yo, Dad, I'll do what you want me to do, but you have to do your kingly duty first. And just the look on his face is like, finally, someone is coming out and telling him, bro, come on. Even Damien had said a long time ago, dude's a cunt. dude is out for himself, and it's taking you 4 years to finally be like, dang, this is actually true. And called him out earlier, and the call out train keeps on going. I love. And he finally goes, 5 days. It's like, what's going on? You know, what's up, my king? You know, my dad died in 5 days. He's supposed to be the hand to the king. That's what my dad's supposed to be. He died of a burst belly. And how fortuitous that was for you, because you became the hand of the king after that. And he's like, well, I didn't look at it that way, but okay. And even King V's like, you told me what it is to be a king. Well, you know, thank you, your grace. But he's like, but man, you have now become unfit. You are going, your judgment. I cannot trust your judgment. And took that little lapel pin that shows that he is hand of the king. Now, what that is so significant that he finally goes, you know, I was so heartbroken about losing Aemma. And again, I still question. It's so funny because he's sort of admitting his vision gets so split, because the whole time I was like, you gotta have a boy, you gotta do it, and everybody's like, you gotta have that boy. And because his vision's so split, he's thinking so hard about the vision, dreams, and prophecies he had sacrificed his own wife. He had sacrificed her, the person who he picked, who he loved. And he says, I was so broken up that it was so easy, calculated decision to have Alicent just come in there. She loves you, dude, and you, just like you love her. He's like, yeah, you know what, Otto, you did a great job. The realm and the kingdom owes you a lot, but I can't trust your judgment. I love that, even though it's probably going to come back to bite him in the ass, because Otto is a snake like that. I love it. But here's the kicker. This is where we end off on this episode. We end off where the maester comes in and gives Ray at night this carefully made concoctions, carefully made potion. He's like, you know, it takes a long time to brew it carefully. You know, and she's like, well, brew what? What is this? And he said, you know, the king says this is for you to get rid of any unwanted consequences. They gave her a potion plan B, fam. Potion plan. She gave her, I call it plan T. She got some, they call it T, some plan T. Wow. Didn't even know they had it in this show. Wow. So there's part of him that he doesn't know his daughter very well. Part of him was like, okay, what Alicent is saying is true. Daemon would not refute having slept with his daughter just to reduce the king, just to mess with him, right? But he still goes, I know there's something different about you, which he's not completely wrong. He's not completely wrong at all. It's very interesting, because this is another layer of the distrust. But how do you as Rhaenyra, how do you process that, where it's like, yeah, you know you did something, but it's the audacity of your father going, I don't trust that. Don't trust you. Nah. Have her drink this. Just in case. And I think she will drink it, because, you know, you don't want to get Cole in trouble. Cole is great. Maybe she'll take a little sip and save the rest of it so she can keep having some, you know, have that plan T on tap, ready to go. Just sippy sip. I'm like, hey, Maester, why don't you make 2 more of these? Just try to be careful, you know. But yeah, interesting episode. I still greatly liked last episode much better. It was, I loved all the imagery. I loved the political pushing. I loved all of the stuff that was just the spite killing from Daemon. But yeah, this was a decent episode. You know, if I were to give last episode a 5, this is a solid 4, because King is finally stepping up. But as we saw his back and the missing fingers, dude is about to drop into a ghoul in any minute. So, and even when he's gone, I really do hope that this marriage with Corlys, I always want to call him Cornelius, or Sea Snake Cornelius, his son, I hope that goes well, because man, we're seeing Ray go, all right, cool, I'll play your game, you got to do your part as well. What do you guys think? Like, who do you think is actually carrying the series? I still think, I'm sorry, I still think it's Rhaenyra. Matt Smith is cool. Haven't seen Morbius yet. But Rhaenyra's actions, trying to be her own woman and push against these patriarchal boundaries and not have to conform, but at the same time trying to learn how to play the game so she can achieve what she wants. Because I deeply feel that if something comes between her and the throne, because it was decreed by her father, the king, she's still going to fight for that right. And it's almost as if she's fighting for that right out of spite of what everybody else is saying. Instead of just giving up, saying, you know what, no, please give it to him. No, it's mine. I'm going to take it. And she's probably partially doing this for her mother. So, as always, let me know what you guys think. Thank you for taking some time out to spend some time with me. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get notified of more videos just like this. And I will most definitely end up seeing you guys next time. Please, please, please be good, be blessed, wash your hands, wear a mask. Take care of yourself, everybody. Changing weathers. It's one of the few, it's probably the least thing about worse. But hey, if you're like me and your allergies are acting up, oh boy. So be good, be blessed. Take care of yourselves. Don't be a jerk. Either way it goes. And I will most definitely catch you guys next week. Oh boy. The House of Dragons is roaring.